your heart is like a vault. You have deep, dark secrets. And I'm like, do I want to take it there? But no.
Hello, welcome to Dear Diaries. My name is Roserbie. I am the founder, and today is a very special episode because usually I'm always behind the camera, but today I decided to have this conversation with Emma, who is also my cousin and just a wonderful woman that I felt like she can share her story. We talk so much as I'm watching her become a woman and transition into God and just seeing the amazing things that God has been doing in her life. I felt like, you know, the conversations we've had, and she's always said it, like, Zebby, we need to record these conversations. So today we just decided to do that and just see where God wants to take us in this conversation. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. So being new to this is like, we'll see. Let's just let it roll.
Yeah.
So where did you want to start?
So first, I guess you can tell them who you are, what you're doing, because we did record you a while back.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fun recording. And now you could just, you know,
oh my
who
God,
are you now?
A lot has changed from our first video. Now I'm married. I'm a mom now. And a stay-at-home mom at that. So life has been lifing. But yeah, so like I just said, I'm 36?
I don't know. I stopped.
Oh my God. I'm literally I'm 36 years old and just learning how to navigate through being a mom, and remembering to be me, you know, because you can easily get lost in just taking care of your child and, you know, the husband, you kind of put them aside like, okay, all right, well, I'll take care of you later, but just balancing everything, being a great mom, being a great wife, a sister, a cousin, a friend, wearing multiple hats and doing it right, you know? Right now, trying to get back with health, trying to lose weight. So it's a lot. I'm juggling a lot right now, but it's just with God's grace, I'm just doing it. I'm finding myself in it and just rolling with it.
That's good. I mean, that's what it's been like for all of us.
Yeah.
And you know, so when I usually interview someone, which is the same thing I did with you, is I never tell them what we're going to talk about because it's your story.
Right.
So, and the segment when I record the women's is called Her Story. So I always tell them, go with God and find out what it is that He wants you to talk about. So what did God put on your heart to share?
So I would say what's been on my mind heavy is learning how to forgive, so that you're able to see what God has in store for you.
That's a big one.
Holding back. I've been with learning how to forgive my mom and understand the struggles that she went through and, you know, and learning that her best was really the best that she could provide us with. And now that I'm a mom, I'm seeing how that can be a struggle. And, you know, she was a single mom, worked at a hotel for most of her life, you know, coming from Haiti and having 3 girls and then later on having a son and trying to provide for us. I could see how hard that was.
Yeah.
Because I remember just being young and remember she used to buy us clothes at Kmart and then she'll get us each a pair of jeans and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, you know, everybody at my school is wearing designer clothes and things like that. So it was always harder for us. And then dealing with a dad who had his own battles with alcoholism, you know, and mental issues as well. So it was hard. We were in the middle of a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
And so I became a child coming from that environment. So I cared very little. Once I was 18 years old, I'm gonna do me. Yeah. So I was out doing all kinds of things. I had all kinds of friends. You know, I was just living my life. And then now that I'm a woman, I'm seeing what it takes to be a mom and a wife and everything like that. It's no joke. And having a spiritual relationship with God has brought me so close to my mom.
Wow.
Because I realized that she literally had nothing else or anyone else to depend on. She only had herself. And I remember moving from apartment to apartment, moving because either we couldn't make the rent that month or, just that whole thing I learned and I see now, like, she wasn't that bad of a mom. She was just a mom surviving.
Yeah, wow.
So I remember when I decided I'm going to forgive her. And this was before I became a mom. And I was looking at her one day. We were looking at my wedding dress. Like, I packed it in her house and never looked at it again. And I lost all this weight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, let's try on my wedding dress. Let's, whatever. And we were having a good time doing that. And I looked at her for a moment and I saw her innocence. And I'm like, oh, Mom. Like, you know how you look at them and they're aging?
Yeah.
And you start seeing the innocence. Like, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just, God just opened my eyes and just saw her innocence, like where she was literally trying to do her best.
Yeah.
And I told my mom, you know what? I forgive you for everything. And immediately she started to cry because, and I still get emotional because I have a lot of mixed feelings about it too. But she instantly know what I was talking about. We didn't go into details.
Yeah.
Because she knows that she dropped the ball a lot, especially with the safety of her daughters. And she was trying to navigate through her life and, trying to find a husband and things like that. They weren't cut out to be, the guys that they claimed they were going to be. So I apologized to her for like my ways, being a teenager, just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And I told her that I also forgave her for not being there the way I needed her to be there. And it's because she just didn't know how. Yeah. So and after that, it's been peaceful. And I'm still learning as I go. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm learning how to forgive people, seeing the person for who they really are versus what they did, what they said back then. I'm learning how to forgive them, and so that I can move on too, because it's a great feeling. So now we're calling each other more often. I'll find myself on the phone with my mom for like an hour, and we're cracking up. We're talking like two adults. And it's the most incredible thing. And she's funny. Like, I see a lot of my personality through her. So I'm like, I actually really love this woman. I just wish that we had got to explore that relationship back then. Yeah. But everything happens for a reason. So now that I'm a mom and I'm seeing the way she is loving on my daughter, the way she wish she would love on me, it's like, okay, we're on to the next chapter of our life. We can move on, for sure.
So I love this. I love that God gave you the subject of forgiveness. And of course, I, as your cousin, have been around you to see a lot of your life, and there's a lot to forgive.
Yeah.
So would you say that the forgiveness, it had to take you to get somewhere in God, to get to that place where God was working on you first?
Yeah, like he had to take me through the whole thing where I lived my life as a teenager. And I'm sure, like, if you were to split the screen and you have my mom and her, like, at the same age I was doing her thing. So we're the same people. It's just a different time. So it's like, I could see how she made the mistakes that she made, because it goes back and back and back with how she was treated, how her mom was treated, how it just goes back like that. So I had to go through the journey of doing my own thing, making mistakes, saying things that I should have never said to her, vice versa. I can understand her anger towards me. It was a journey. So, and I think that God had to take me there so that I can see through a different lens versus just being that hurt daughter, or, he had to let me see that, hey, this is your mom. She has a lot of unresolved issues as well. Is like, what you're going through, she's going through in a different world. And the thing about my mom is she knows how to brush things under the rug. And I learned to do that too. And I can tell, if I mention just one little thing, it triggers emotions in her. And, I can understand that. So we're the same, and that's probably the reason why we clashed a lot. But God had to take me through a journey to see what she also experienced, and she probably will never ever talk about it. It's like locked in a vault forever.
Yeah.
But we have an understanding and a respect for each other's boundaries now. So it's like it's a healing relationship. It's not completely there.
Yeah.
We're taking baby steps, but God has been literally highlighting certain things that I should look at so that I can feel more love for my mom. And or even my siblings, like little things, like little things that happen. God would open my eyes so that I can see past what's going on and know that it's something bigger. Yeah.
And I love that. I love the fact too that because you're a mom now, you can see how easily just your mood could cause you to say something that you might not have intended to say to your child.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that came to mind when you said that from what she's been through and probably has done some mistakes with you is the cycle, right?
Right.
But you have the ability to break that cycle because you've gotten into God, number one, at a younger age, and you're able to make changes that now we can break this cycle. We don't have to treat our daughters or children the same way. So I really love how your story is unfolding. And so what is the most, when the forgiveness talk with God was happening, did you find it hard to let go of some of the things?
I honestly didn't find it hard that moment. I think I was in my head a lot, and I'm like, why should I be the one to forgive? I didn't ask to be born. She should have had it together. She's the one that chose her partner. She's, every decision you make in life is, you're going to suffer the consequences, whether it be good or bad. So I was always in my head thinking that she needs to work for this.
Yeah.
And when I finally had my moment with God, when he spoke to me and, he downloaded all this information onto me, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Like, she had her own battles in her life too. So for me to things she did say to one of my siblings, she said that she's afraid that she's going to pass away one day and we're never going to have a relationship.
Oh.
So that was something that she said. And I guess she was being really honest, open and honest for the first time, because my mom is not a person who likes to tap into her emotions. But she was saying that she was afraid, like with me, like I'm the one that's like, I'm the hard rock to break.
Yeah.
With, my sisters, they all moved on. But with me, I felt like she needs to work for this forgiveness, this closeness, all the stuff that I have that is good in me. She needs to work for it. But when it was time to forgive her, after I realized there's a cycle that needs to be broken, and she's not aware of any of this. This is me as her child, just realizing, you know what, it's not your fault, Mom. You didn't get a chance to do this. You didn't get a chance to do that. You didn't have the discernment. And I think it made it easy to forgive her because I look at her more, not like a child, but like I was saying before, I see the innocence.
Yeah.
I can see how she doesn't know something. Like I can understand how, Mom, you should have known better. But in her time, she didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You should have known my dad was an alcoholic, but her, love took over. She wasn't thinking about, oh, what if he leaves me, later on down the years, because she was led with her heart.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it was easy to forgive her after I just gave into it.
Yeah.
Like it was harder not forgiving her. I think it was more work not forgiving my mom because I had to keep reminding myself of all the things that she did.
Yeah.
And I wasn't appreciating what she was becoming in front of me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's a big one because people change. People change. And wow, that really is powerful.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you change and people aren't giving you that opportunity for the fact that you are seeing this and just giving her that opportunity. Well, God always gets the glory because we don't arrive until He helps us. He helps us to arrive to get to that place where we understand it. So that is powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful what you said. I hope that you are hearing that, because sometimes we are so hard on what we've been through and we can't forgive them, but they're trying to change.
Right.
And God is working on them just as much as He's working on you.
Exactly.
You know, so that is powerful.
Yeah. So that's one thing I had to realize. And I'm like, once I came to peace with that, you know, I'm an adult now. I survived. At the end of the day, like whatever I went through, I'm sure like I'm not the only story. There's a million stories that goes the same way. You know, you come from a struggling family, you know, family from an island, and you know, they come here to try to make a better life for themselves. It didn't turn out as they thought.
Yeah.
You know, so you become a little bit of a punching bag. And you know, it's because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So yeah, and she changed. She's changing a lot, and I see with the way she is with my daughter. Like, you know, she'll buy her random things. She's always thinking about my daughter, and I'm like, okay, mom, you're making up for it just automatically because the love that she had for my daughter, she's paying it forward.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, okay, mom, like let's just move on and enjoy this moment, because if I hold on to the past, like there's no growth.
Yeah.
It's dead. So I planted a new seed so that I can enjoy the new garden of my life.
Amen.
And you know, and it brought out my daughter, and I feel like, sorry, I always get emotional. After I forgave my mom, it's like God opened up my womb. Everything has been forgiven. Everything is done, and it's like I'm able to move forward the way I've always wanted to move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it wasn't until I forgave my mom, blessings, doors have been opened for me. Like I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom because you know I ain't cut out for this work stuff. Yeah, and here I am. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have to worry about anything but just focusing on being a mom.
Yeah.
And each day I think, God, I'm like, God, thank you for putting me in this position where I'm able to stay at home with my baby.
Yeah.
She don't have to worry about daycare and all of this stuff. You know, my husband's able to take care of us, and you know, and I know, and my mom, she's so proud of where I am now.
Wow.
And I hear her, she brags about it all the time. Like, oh my gosh, you're doing so well. Look at you as a mother. Like, she can't believe it. She never thought that, you know, that she would see this day come, because we all know how long I waited to be a mom.
Yeah.
But now that I'm doing it, she's so proud. And I know that inside for her, it must be like a struggle, because she's thinking to herself, like, oh no, that's, you know, that's what I wanted to do for you, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
But seeing that I'm able to do it for my daughter, I think it brings her some sort of peace. Yeah.
And probably a great relief for her that her mistakes didn't hinder you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
From having the life that she really wanted for you.
Right. Because I didn't see this for me at all. Like, you know, being young and living in Miami, like I was just like, I'm gonna do me. I've been locked up. My mom had me on lock all these years.
Yeah.
You know, life sucked. Everything was no. High school like was a blur. Like I don't remember anything about being young, but just the recklessness, the things that I did.
Yeah.
Like honestly, God was looking after me. Like there's a million different situations that come up in my life, and I'm like, God, if you did not deliver me from this situation, where would I be? You know?
Yeah.
It's easy to be a part of the statistic of being, you know, the kid or the woman who was brought up in a broken home, and then now she has a broken home and she doesn't know how to fix it. But I made the decision to do better. You know, because it's what I always wanted, and it's just I had to go through it. You know, there's no other way to go through things, but the way it was meant to be. Yeah. You know, sometimes you get mad at yourself, and I remember times where I was like, I always said, God, I didn't ask to be here. Why am I going through this? I didn't ask if I had a choice, I would choose not to be here and just be nothing at all. Yeah. And I didn't know that meant I would never know God at all. And I would rather know him and go through the stuff that he has for me, because once I get to the other side, it's happiness, it's what I have right now. Yeah. Peace. And I would rather be here. Yeah. Period.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing, because there's so much stuff that you said and so many places we can go into.
Right.
Like one of the things you said, which was powerful, a lot of people don't know and understand. Unforgiveness will cause a lot of physical things to happen to you, or even consequences like God didn't want to give you a daughter and you weren't healed.
Right.
You weren't ready because you were still hurting, or you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then he opened up your womb after you forgave.
After I forgave.
You know, so that's powerful. And then I think the other thing you said is being able to now understands that you have to go through it to get to the other side. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about your situation. It's out of your control, but what are you going to decide to do? Are you going to keep blaming? Are you going to die in this, or are you going to decide, okay, I want a better life and move towards that?
You have to make the decision, because either way it's going to happen. It's going to happen either way. You just have to make the decision, say, you know what, let me put on my gear and let's get through this journey and see. It's not all bad. You know, it's like the way I look at it. And one thing that I've learned is my relationship with my daughter. And she may not understand different things that I do. She may be angry about the fact that I took her off the bed because she was jumping on the bed, but she doesn't understand that, you know, had she continued, she would have fell. Who knows how she would have fallen, cracked her head, broke her arm. But me taking her off the bed is me protecting her and showing her love and everything. So it's the same relationship with God. There's a lot of things that I wanted. There's so many guys like that I was with in a, like, you know, past relationships. And I'm like, I want you to be my baby daddy. Like, and that was the mindset. I don't know why. I don't know why. Like, I didn't have the money to be, like, I didn't have the funds. I didn't have the funds to be a mom, but I was like, you know, oh, this guy's gonna be my baby daddy. And actually try to have a baby with this guy. And it never worked. God was like, okay, we'll see about that. And it never happened. I'm like, one, I wasn't married to this guy. You're just some guy that I met, and I was trying to make decisions on, you know, for myself. And so God blocked all of that. He blocked all of that. And he put me, eventually, he had to put me on a timeout. Because I'm out here living recklessly, just doing whatever I want to do, because now I'm a woman and now I get to act the way I want to, because, you know, I didn't get this opportunity before. But it's like you're destroying yourself, not just spiritually, but physically, mentally, you know, because every relationship takes something away from you. And I'm over it. And I saw that as evidence, you know, and one thing led me to another, which was worse and worse and worse. And still, God had grace on me and led me here. So
I think one of the things that I've been seeing just from my own interaction with God in life is, I think my new word for him is, God, you are so kind.
He is.
I feel like you're good is a good word, right? But then when you say, God, you're kind, there's just something else more to that. When you notice someone is kind, and then mercy, right? Because when you pick up your daughter from that bed, she doesn't know you're extending mercy, because you could have just let her fall and experience it, but it was out of mercy. He's like, no, let me cut this off, because I'm going to close your womb. You know, and I'm going to close your womb because I'm having mercy, because your life could go,
oh my God,
somewhere else.
I cannot imagine. And it, like, honestly, the guys back then were just, I mean, not quality. not what I would want myself in this. I would not be here in my state of peace and comfort and love. Like the husband that I have now, most of the time I don't feel like I deserve him. You know, but here I am, and it's like, I'm like, God, you do love me. You do love me. And it's like, I can't, like, I honestly can't stress it enough for like women who feel like, oh, you know what? It's, you know, I don't want kids anymore. I'm at a certain age. I'm this timeline, you know, like we're all on a timeline and we're concerned about that timeline, but we're forgetting that God's time is always better than ours. Like I was telling God one time, I was like, don't be giving me no baby when I'm like 50 years old. I'm like, no, like don't do it. But I realized that even if he did do that, he's putting me in the position in my life where I'm going to love my baby. Like my life is going to be better. Like that was my fear. I'm like, I'm going to be 30 something, like in my late 30s with a 1-year-old, where it's like I'm looking at like
people that I went to school with, and their kids are like in middle school, like leaving middle school, like heading to high school. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just starting this journey. But I think it happened at a perfect time.
Yeah.
For me.
I believe so, because too, for me, I'm single. I haven't had a child yet. I'm not married yet. But as life goes on and I'm learning more about God and who I am, I'm able to give, by the grace of God, a better version of myself to my husband and to my child.
Yeah.
So the patience, things that I'm watching, like, I did a podcast yesterday. I haven't posted it yet, but I was talking about how it's important to get to know yourself, and you'd be surprised how many people don't even stop and look at themselves in the mirror.
Right.
They do everything they need to do and they rush out.
Right. Yeah.
But you never gaze into those eyes, look at your soul, and
right.
just,
Yeah.
and just do inventory about who you are. Do you like who you are?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've experienced that before. Like with I remember just being obsessed with working.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm just working, I'm just living my life. But then it's like, do I know me? Do I really know myself? And I always thought and I had everything planned in my head. I'm like, you know what? I don't have no kids, but you know what? I'm going to be that auntie that, spoils the nephews, and that's it. And that's going to be my life. That's it. But then, deep down inside, I knew that that wasn't enough for me.
Yeah.
I always wanted more. And I remember just watching a video on TikTok of like fathers, playing with their babies, mm-hmm. or holding their newborns and stuff like that. And I broke down in tears. And this was like in bed. My husband is behind me, and I'm like crying. I'm muffling myself with the pillows, like, so he won't hear me. Mm-hmm. But I'm heartbroken because I know that he always wanted to be a dad. Because I would ask him, like, you want to be a dad?
Yeah.
Or are you okay with this life that we got? We're going to travel. You want to try to paint a picture, so that you won't feel as bad.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, I want to be a father. And I think that was like what cracked my heart, because I'm like, I came to terms and to peace with not being a mom ever. Because I've been with this man, we've been married and no baby yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, look, I got married, I got my license, I'm married now. But it was like there was probably still things that I had to do, which goes back to forgiving my mom.
Yeah.
Because I guess, like, how am I gonna be a great mom when I'm suffering unforgiveness?
Mm-hmm.
And who's to say that I'm gonna be a great mom? And what if my daughter doesn't forgive me for something that I've been trying to do? I've been trying to do better, but it goes back. The same thing my mom probably was thinking,
Yeah.
But I remember my husband saying he always wanted to be a dad, and I'm watching videos of dads holding their babies, and I was brokenhearted.
Yeah.
And I always knew that I wanted to be a mom,
but you were lying to yourself, like, I don't need it.
Yeah, like I was just playing it off. And I think a lot of women do that when they get to a certain age. They play it off like, oh, I don't want any kids anymore, or whatever. I'm fine with it. But deep down inside, they're heartbroken because, you have 12 friends telling you, girl, it's going to happen. They're on their 5th baby, and they're telling you, girl, don't worry about it. It's going to happen when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But you think to yourself, is it though?
Periodic pregnancy, I don't even know what's the word.
Bariatric pregnancy is like when you're like, what, I don't know, considered elderly trying to get pregnant. So it's like you have all of these things. Like, I don't know. But, so anyway, but yeah, so it's like, I feel like once I forgive my mom, all the doors open for me. All the things that I pray for at night start to, become reality for me. And I don't realize it until I take a moment and pause.
Yeah.
And realize what I have. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm in the reality like that I had in my mind.
That's a freaky experience.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Like, I just wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just now hitting me that, Emma, you're a blessed woman.
Yeah.
You have a great husband, you're happy. Like, I can't ask for anything better than this. And I know that God's looking at me like, girl, wait till you see what I got planned for you down the road.
Yes.
So I'm excited. So I live life with excitement. I wake up and I thank him every day, which is something I never did before. I'm like, I don't have nothing to be grateful for. I'm working, I'm pissed off at this job. I was not a people person.
Yeah.
So the more I hated my life, the worse it got. So it's like I just kept getting the same thing
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah.
But it's like now I'm just letting go. I let God decide what my day is gonna be like. I'm like, whatever your will is, let it be complete, and I just go with it. And I'm at peace. I'm not fighting. I'm not tug of warring with God anymore. I'm just like, okay, because He knows better. He knows what I need.
Yeah.
The same way I'm looking at my daughter, I know, okay, she needs breakfast in the morning. Her diapers need to be changed. Like I know what she needs, and she trusts me to do it. And it's the same. I'm like, God, I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Of trying to figure everything out.
Tired.
I'm gonna let you do it.
Yeah.
Because if I do it, it's not gonna work out. So that's been my journey, and I could go in with like all the stuff in my past that is shocking, things that I've done, things that I've said, and it's like you regret. And you know the thing is that I learned. You know how they say prevention is better than cure.
Oh, yes.
I learned that more and more and more. Like sometimes you think about something you said to someone because you were so angry. And then now that you're not angry anymore. Now that you're on good terms with that person, now you're left with the memory of what you said and how it affected that person.
Yeah.
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 So my mom, I'm sure she experienced the same thing too. And I think there's a reason why I'm getting to see both sides. My mom said a lot of things to me that I'm sure now she regrets it because I wasn't that person that you said I was.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't a hoe or this or that or whatever. You know, I was just reacting in my situation, what I had going on. But now that she see me, I'm more reserved. I'm just completely different.
Yeah.
You know, even if you mention like the craziest conversations, I'm cringing because like I like watching shows. If they're making out, I'm already like, okay, you know.
And you were like been like that.
I was been like that,
Yeah.
but it was. I didn't know who I was yet.
Yeah.
I was just reacting to whatever the situation was in my life. Like, okay, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna rebel. I'm gonna do all these things, but it was causing damage.
Big time. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like I'm learning now. You know, like Emma, remember when you said this to your mom? And I'm looking at her now. Like, you weren't a bad mom.
No.
Like you were literally just trying your best, and you were frustrated with your job. You know, you're working as a housekeeper at a hotel. You know, you're watching people come in. They're on vacation. They're happy.
Yeah.
You know, and you're the one that comes in and clean up their mess.
Yeah.
You know, and then you come home to what your daughter did, or she snuck out the house, or you know, your neighbor saying, "Oh, I saw boys in the house."
Yeah.
You know, so you're coming into that after,
and you're doing it alone.
So it's like, of course she's gonna take her anger out on me. Of course she's gonna give you the worst whoopings I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just because she had nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure she had, when she came from Haiti, she had all these great plans because my dad is like, hey, you know, we're gonna move, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna live our life. And my mom, when I think about her life, she's someone who if she was rich, she would live very large.
Oh yeah.
So when she sees that,
fun.
yeah, she's fun. She's a fun person. In conversations with my mom are the best.
Yeah.
Like I have friends, and our conversations nowhere near as exciting and crazy as me and my mom.
Yeah.
Like she's that chick.
She is.
And it took me a while to realize that because I was just so mad at her. It's like anything dealing with my mom before forgiveness. I didn't care about it. I didn't care about it. Even when she wanted to have a conversation about, hey, so how is, you know, being a mom, being married, because I was married and I still didn't forgive my mom. And because I was so angry with my mom, I didn't even let her walk me down the aisle at my wedding. I'm like, I'm going to walk alone. Because for me, that symbolized a lot. You know, one, my dad, he's a drunk, and I wouldn't have invited him to the wedding anyway. My mom, you weren't there for me.
Yeah.
So why would I have you walk me down the aisle?
Yeah.
So, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know, I should have given her that opportunity. But it didn't happen. And do I regret it? No, not so much. But I could have just let her have that moment. But, I was going through the process. Now that I'm here, I understand. I'm like, you know what? I wish that I would have forgiven her a while back so that we could really enjoy my wedding time. I was more like looking at her like, whatever. You're here.
That leads me to the question that came to me when you were speaking. Do you feel like forgiveness, I know she cried when you forgave her, but do you feel like forgiveness is more for you than for her.
Absolutely. Like it does help them because now they're able to, their posture is better around you. But it's mostly for me. Like forgiving my mom was something for me because it's exhausting not forgiving someone. Like I said, you have to constantly keep reminding yourself of what that person has done to you, and you're not appreciating how they are because they realize they messed up.
Yeah.
You know, and for them, for my mom, she's probably thinking of ways, how do I make this up to my daughter? Let me cook her favorite food and call her over. So it was for me to forgive her because I was just exhausted, and she's getting older.
Yeah.
And I'm getting older, so it's like it just didn't make sense anymore.
And then you're always constantly angry.
Yeah, you're constantly angry, so you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Not forgiving someone is exhausting. So yeah, it was for me so that I could be at peace. And I didn't think that by forgiving my mom that eventually, my womb would open and things like that. I didn't do it for that because I wasn't thinking about that.
Know that was a what do you call it? Stipulation with God.
I didn't know. But it was just in my heart at that moment. We were having just a good time. We were just having like mother and daughter time and looking at wedding dresses and things like that. And it just came out. And when I felt it, it was an overwhelming feeling where I almost like, I seen her almost like my baby. Because I'm looking at her and her features has changed, like as they're aging. You see little features, they're a little bit more frail. So it's like I'm looking at her and she's doing things to please me. It's almost like she's saying forgive me without saying forgive me. So I did it for her, but mostly for me. So that I can just move forward and stop thinking about the things from back then that hurt. Because I have to relive it in my mind again and then stay in that state. Yeah. And I'm like, and I find myself really tense and then I don't want to be around people. So it'll affect my day to day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was for me.
Yeah, and you're in a prison.
Right. You're in a prison all the time and it's like, it's almost like you got to put on an act. So whenever you're around, like, you're around someone you don't forgive, so you have to put on that act, like, yeah, I'm not talking to you. And it's like, the person is trying, they're trying to move on, like, okay, whatever, let's do this, let's do that. But you're stuck back in 1990, and it's like, let's move on, because now you don't have time to repair. Like, you're stuck at process one. Yeah. And then he's like, you can't get to the next step so that you guys can enjoy what's in front of you. Yeah. And with my mom, it ended up being like her being a sweet grandma. Like I invite her over. I'm like, Mom, let's come, let's hang out and have wine together or whatever you want to do, we'll do it. Yeah. And it's not awkward anymore. Yeah. Now it's like, that's my friend. Freedom. And I'm happy for it. I know the enemy is always going to be there to try to like throw little things there, but when you acknowledge what you're working with, then you know how to defeat it. Yeah. So it's constant prayer. I'm still praying. There's little things like sometimes she triggers me in some ways, but I know how to deal with it. Now it's not like, oh, I'm gonna bring up the past anymore. Now it's like, okay, Mom, let's not go there. Yeah. And then we're able to move on. And like I said, now that I'm a mom, she respects me as a woman because she see that, hey, my daughter, despite the life that she had, she didn't take that, that path, and now she's living this jacked up life. Yeah. I decided to do better, and I think that gave her peace. So it's healing in all towards all directions, all kinds of directions. You're just receiving healing.
And it touched your marriage. Yeah. It touches everyone.
Yeah, and she loves my husband, and just the way they met, everything happened for a reason. And the guy that she we all worked at the same place, and she met Jacques before I did, and she loved Jacques. Yeah. And then for that same guy to end up being with your daughter, it was like, oh, there we go.
God is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So what would you say to someone, who really been through a lot, like you've been through a lot, but they're really just having a hard time letting go, and they just can't do it? What would you say to that woman, that man?
What I would say to that person would be, challenge yourself to do something different. I once heard that you can't open new doors with old keys, or is it you can't.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
something like that. Like you can't open your door with old keys, or you can't open. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, so something like that. So it pretty much is like you can't expect different results when you're doing the same thing over and over and over. It's so easy to do the thing that we're comfortable in and receive the same result. So you have to actually want it enough and say, you know what? Let's get uncomfortable and do something else. So if you're someone who's struggling in your life and you're mad about your job, you know, you can't stand it at work. A lot of people now after the pandemic, they're becoming more and more introverted where like they don't want to go out anymore or they don't want to meet new people or whatever the case is. Like a lot of changes happen, like I think with people mentally and emotionally after the pandemic. Um, if you're struggling in life, I think the best thing to do is just to make that decision. I mean, it could go either way, you know. Like when you wake up in the morning, you don't know what the day's gonna, you know, what the day's gonna look like.
Yeah.
But if you decide, hey, you know what, today what's bothering me? Let's unpack it. I think a lot of people have a hard time with unpacking things and facing things, but I think it's very important. One, you have to make the decision to want something different, and then two, start the process. Like, what is it about me that causes me to like not talk to people, or why do I hate this person so much, or unpack it. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. The same way we get up and we go to work to a job that we hate every single day, we get the job done. Your boss tell you, "Great job."
Yeah.
You know, you have to use that same practice with your own life.
Yeah.
Wake up, and even though you don't want to, the same way you wake up, the alarm wakes you up before you're ready to go to work, but you know what you need to do. You brush your teeth, take a shower, get ready, and you're out the door.
Yeah.
You need to do the work for yourself.
Yeah.
Want to do it, and just go through the process, and you'll figure out more and more that, hey, I'm not really angry. I feel this way because, you know, or maybe start to like write things down. I don't like to write things down too much, unless they're happy things. Because I remember I used to like write in my journal, and it's like sometimes you give a lot of energy to that moment, and then you start to relive it. Now you're reading it, and now it's there for you to read. So sometimes writing things down is like, work for some people depending on how you do it.
Yeah.
But my thing is challenge yourself to deal with the most uncomfortable thing, because I think it is you and God. Talk to Him about it. You don't have to call your friend. You don't have to call someone. Talk to Him about it, because He's the one that's gonna listen and He's gonna help you do it.
Yeah.
Your friends come back, girl, and then maybe call somebody else and tell them your business. But you can be your authentic self when you're at home, you're alone, and you're talking to God, and you're just unpacking everything. He already knows it, but He want to hear you come to Him.
Yeah.
You know, and you deal with it. The stuff that cringes you on the inside, talk about it.
Yeah.
Face it, and now you're gonna see that those things don't have power over you anymore, because they're not just in you anymore. Now it's out there. It's out there, and what else is gonna happen?
Yeah.
Healing starts.
And
that's all I can say about that.
That's awesome, because the way I like to say it is choosing power over pity, choosing not to be a victim and have victory over your life. Because as you say, a lot of things is our own doing. A lot of things is also the kingdom of darkness that participates in trying to destroy us.
Yeah.
So we're always in this constant battle. And so it's like, stop staying as a victim. Get up. It is a war. Get up and change the position. Get up, fight for the life that you want.
Right.
So I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
I mean, if you knock on your neighbor's door, I'm sure you can go down this entire hallway and everyone will tell you a struggle in their life.
Exactly.
Everyone, we're all in this together. We're all in this together. So, every struggle is different, but as long as you're living in this earth, like, you have something to deal with.
Yeah.
And you just gotta get up and just deal with it, unpack it. I always say unpack it. Just like, you go on vacation and then, you're unpacking over there, you're having a good time. You gotta unpack the stuff that bothers you.
Yeah.
Even if it means you have to call that person who once did something to you and say, hey, you said something the other day that bothered me. I should have brought it up that time, but I wasn't in the space to do it. But this is what you said. This is what bothered me. Let's move forward. What can we do to move forward? And you never know. Most of the time, people offend you and they don't even realize it.
Exactly.
They're just being themselves, and then now you're just taking things and you're adding it onto you, and then you already got a bunch of stuff you're dealing with, and now you're choosing to pick things up, and then now you're carrying that thing everywhere you go, and you're like, I'm not gonna forgive you for this, I'm not gonna forgive you for that, and then now look at your life. You're just literally collecting all this unforgiveness, and then you think that you're gonna be blessed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. You don't have room for blessing when you got a storage full of anger and all these things.
And unforgiveness can truly make you sick.
It can make you sick. How many people have lost a loved one or anybody, a friend, and all you could think about is the last time you guys had an argument and you guys didn't talk? You know, like, we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised not even the next hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you live your life with purpose and learn how to, I think being, you know how everybody thinks that, oh, making a bunch of money is being a boss. You know, I'm a boss chick, I'm a boss dude, or whatever the case is. I feel like you're really that person where you're able to face things on, whether it be good or bad. I think that's what makes you look like, you know, wow, you're that person, because you're not going to let something hold on to you and just strip you of your greatness.
Exactly.
You know, you're a person that's going to say, hey, you know, you said this, I don't like it, you know, come correct next time.
Yeah.
You know, and people will respect you more. And you just have to own it. Be a kind-hearted person. Be as close to Jesus as possible.
Pretty much.
Be as close to Jesus as possible. And then when you don't have the strength to do it, go to Him. I talk to God literally like we're roommates.
Yeah.
Like, God, I don't have it in me to deal with this person.
Oh.
If it's up to me, we're not gonna talk for 6 minutes. So put it in me, give me the skills, give me the tools that I need. I'm gonna do the work. But if it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna back off.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just have to be that person, own it. Be, you know how they always say, be the better, you know, be the bigger person.
Yeah.
But sometimes being the bigger person, in people's mind, they think, oh, I'm just gonna be the bigger person and apologize. But deep down, you didn't apologize. You just did it because you like to think of yourself as, I'm gonna be the bigger person.
But for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But deep down inside, you just can't wait to let that person have it the next time they try you.
That's the part God is looking at.
Right.
He's not fooled.
Right.
And you're still in a prison.
Yeah, you are. So it's like, I feel like people who are able to correct something as it happened, not everyone is meant to be that way, but you can pray to be that way.
Yeah.
So that you can have a more peaceful life.
And do it in love. I think too that, like, love of God. And I love saying this because, you know, I also have wife school, so I talk a lot about love. And, you know, we make love to look like glitters and fairy tale romance and stuff, but that's not love when God describes it.
Right.
Is long suffering, is patience, is forgiveness, is, you know, not counting the wrong that person has done. Like, that's the definition of love. Right. So when we're walking in God's love, you know, it looks different. And so and another thing I like to say is, when you understand, like, you got to a place where you understood, God gave you a download of what your mom might have gone through. Right. It helps you when you have understanding to not be angry with that person. It helps the process of letting go. Yeah. And so that's why what you said, sitting with God and having that conversation with God, is really truly the key, because now He can tell you what's really going on with yourself, what's holding you back. Hey, you know, you're feeling this kind of way every time this person comes around you, and God could say, you're dealing with unforgiveness. Right. You're dealing with this, you're dealing with that. So when you go to Him who knows everything, you'll have more insight. Right. And He does give you insight as long as you want it. As long as you come to Him, you're like, God, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm done trying. Yeah. I'm going to let you handle this. Yeah. And He's going to literally help you through it. It's not going to be overnight where you're like, oh my God, I forgive you. It's gonna take time, but you're going to desire the journey to get to where you need to go. And it's always been a great experience with, you know, trying to do things the way God wants me to do it, because you can't fail. Once he gives you the blueprint, you follow it, and it, you know, you're gonna go through emotions. You're gonna look at that person and just be like, I can't do this today. But once you just keep trying, because it's going to take work. You're dealing with two people. You're dealing with yourself, and you're dealing with that other person who you don't know what their day-to-day is like. So you have to have this
extra love for
Mhm.
them and a lot of understanding.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's therapy for both of you. You're looking at that person like you need God. And you like, but then it's like you're not saying it in a judgy way, but you're saying because you're like, I needed it and you need it too.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's what my journey has been, and I'm still on this journey of forgiveness. Realizing that I haven't forgiven people that I thought I forgave just because we're chilling, we're cool. Like I still have unforgiveness towards that person,
Yeah.
and it's just later, like I'll catch myself. Oh my God, I'm still mad at you. It's just I'm like my mom. I brush things under the rug, and I'm thinking, okay, fine, let's not talk about it ever again.
Yeah.
But then throughout the years, the little things are triggering. Like yeah. Little things happen, and you remember that thing, and now you're mad at them that whole week, and you got plans with them to meet up for brunch or whatever, and now you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm still on this journey of forgiveness because it's something that God has wanted me to see in myself. I let go a lot of anger.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I can't say I'm completely. Can I say I'm completely over anger? I haven't been angry. I don't see myself popping off anymore. I think there's a maturity level that I've reached, and I just don't have time for it anymore. It's too much work onto a physical body. I already gotta lose weight, and then now I'm holding on to it's too much.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can say that with anger, I'm dealing with that so much better, and forgiveness is my journey continues with that. But the biggest rock, the biggest mountain I had to climb was forgiving my mom.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So
and you did it.
And I did it, and now I'm over here, and I love my mom. I can say I love my mom without feeling like, oh, I guess I love her. Yeah. I love my mom.
Like you love her and not loving her by default.
Yeah, like I'm not loving you just because paperwork says I have to love you or whatever. I'm loving who, and she changed a lot.
Yeah.
She changed. That's the thing. People change.
Yeah.
People change. So it's like I'm loving who she is now, and I think it took us growing up. We're older now. Now we're not. We don't need everything from her. Now she can relax.
Yeah.
And so we can appreciate who she really is, because my mom, like I said, she's a cool mom.
Yeah.
I find myself wanting to hang out with her more and tell her more about who I am.
Yeah.
And asking her about who she is, because for all these years, I never knew my mom. I didn't know anything about my mom because I never cared to ask. I'm like, you're a horrible mom. I don't want to know nothing about you. So it's like I closed that door. And now that, we're talking more, and I'm like, Mom, tell me about your days. Like, tell me whatever, and she'll talk about it. We'll be on the phone for hours. And she's always calling me to come and pick up little things at the house. And that's how she shows love. She still doesn't really say I love you, and she's not a person that you can hug and she's gonna, I get it, but she does little things, and she goes outside, she does things that shows that I love you, and I'm sorry, even though she never want to talk about it.
But that's hard for you too. So maybe Matan, I call her Matan.
Yeah,
maybe she does. But because too, you're not like that.
Yeah, there's a wall.
So,
yeah.
Because we love to try to kiss you, but you won't let us.
I don't, and it goes a lot. That's a whole different video of just like how me, like personally, like I don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
And like I said, sometimes I'm like around people and I'm like too stimulated and there's too much going on, and it's like I'll take a month off from someone.
Me too.
Yeah.
Guilty.
So like it's a lot. It's a lot. So
yeah. I think this is great.
This was great. It just flowed. Because before you you brought up the whole idea of doing this video, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I can talk about. But it's like, as a person, you have your heart is like a vault. You have deep, dark secrets. And I'm like, do I want to take it there? But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about what I feel like God has put in my heart, which is forgiveness. Like, I think that's the topic that I want to stay on. But the other topics, they're,
they might be in her book.
You know what? Yeah, I think that's where it should go, because a lot of women, when you stuff, a lot of people say, I don't know about other cultures, but I know with the Haitian families and the Jamaican families and stuff like that, you find a lot of times like there is a struggle between mother and daughter. I don't know why. But um, I decided that I was gonna stop. That's where it stops. Like
Yeah.
it ends there. Like I want a different relationship with my daughter. I want her to be able to talk to me about everything.
Yeah.
They're gonna get into some trouble. Because life is gonna be life for them too.
Yeah.
So I just want to take different approaches with my daughter versus what I've experienced. And I'm sure my mom had the same plans until some things change.
Yeah.
So because you have kids and you love them and you look at, and I was her firstborn.
Yeah.
So, or I am her firstborn. So I'm sure she wasn't looking at me and saying, "I'm going to give you the crappiest life I can give you."
No, exactly.
No, in her mind, she's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
I can't believe I'm a mom. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
And she was a mom, like in her early 20s. I think maybe 2021.
Yeah.
I'm a mother now, like in my late 30s. So life is different.
Different mindset.
So
and you have great support.
Right, great support versus my dad who walked into the hospital completely drunk.
Yeah.
So it's like her experience as a mother was not what she expected it to be.
Yeah.
She probably seen it some way or with other friends and things like that and thought that it was going to be the same way for her, but it wasn't. So, and coming from a different, from a country, like Haiti, coming here to the States is a scary thing already. You don't know the language. Now you're pregnant, You
come with the clothes on your back.
Yeah. So it's hard. So it's like she was trying to figure everything out and boom, you get pregnant again. And then again, it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I had to see it. Unfortunately, I had to go through it as well. But I can do the compare and contrast with my life versus my mom's life and what I want. And that's all about making the decision to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to. It's easy to say, well, I didn't have a good life, so you're not going to have a good life. And then it just goes on and on. It's so...
The cycle doesn't end.
It doesn't end. And it just sounds so silly because I didn't have a good life, so I'm going to make my daughter suffer. That makes zero sense. Don't have kids at all if that's your mindset.
Yeah.
Because they're born and then they're looking at you like, so if that's your mindset, then what do you think God should treat you like? Should he say, well, you guys did this is what you're gonna get? Like, God is such a loving God.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if God judged us based on what we did, he would just wipe the whole world out. Say, you know what?
I think he tried the first time.
Yeah.
No way.
He would do it again. I think he would, but you know what? Because he's a loving God.
Yeah.
You truly understand God's love when you're in that walk. When you say, you know what,
That's
God,
true.
I am who I am. I came from this situation. You were a witness to all the things that happened in my life, but I truly want better. If God treated us the way we treated each other, like, I don't know what we just wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here at all. But
it's true.
It's because we're horrible. Like when you think about it, like
without God.
Yeah, without God, it's like. You'll leave church and then people are fighting in the parking lot trying to get out.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's looking at us like, oh boy, what did you just learn? Did you not learn anything? Did you, like, were your ears just like closed the whole sermon? So it's like, I can't imagine if he's that patient with us, who am I not to be patient with other people?
And forgiving.
Like, how many times we did stuff and then we said, I'm never going to do this again. And you make promises, you kiss the ground, you promise, and then here you go, oops, I did it again. Britney Spears. Like, it's like, and if that was the kid, God would be like, done, you're done.
Yeah, the way we are.
Yeah, the way we're done. We're quick to cut people off. I know, I'm quick.
I'm cutthroat.
I literally,
God delivered me.
I was doing something that I can just not have a name. You know how they say, quiet quitting, or I have quiet ending friendships, like where I'm like literally ending friendships without you even knowing it, and that's how I am. And I'm like, who am I to be that way?
Yeah.
That person is who they are. They're dealing with their struggle. They have their ways, just like I have my ways.
Yeah. And then you're not allowing them. I learned this. It's a woman I know. She says, she said to me one time, I'm not being compassionate. I don't have compassion for that other person. to be themselves.
Right.
So I'm imposing how I am, how I think, all this other stuff
Yeah.
on them, and not allowing them to be themselves.
Mhm.
And when you interact with people, Miss, what is it called, quiet ending friendship?
Yeah.
We're not allowing them to be themselves
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep. It is a lot, and it's like I have to learn how to be patient. Just like I would want someone to be patient